Who was the first Guardian ever revived? There are tons of Lightbearers here in the city, but who was the first chosen by the Traveler? And was there a reason why? Today we speculate with some candidates and discuss a possible link to the Edge of Fate involving this mystery. Welcome Guardians, let's dive right in. So it's worth noting a couple of things, that 1, there are tons of Guardians, and 2, the Traveler has risen other species and given the power of the light to them too. The Hive, the most recent example obviously, and way back in the day with the precursor species of the Witness and even the Ammonites. The focus today though is on the human Guardians, given we have more options to pick through and some of their lore. We might not have a straight up answer of the first Guardian, but we do get some hints that get us pretty close. There are Guardians like Sen Aret, who is the oldest known human to be turned into a Guardian. But our focus today is trying to narrow down who among the current lore was the first revived by a ghost after the collapse. Now this gets interesting with the first documented Guardian, also a Guardian referred to as the Storm Herd. But let's start with someone most of us know about, and that is the Drifter. Drifter was risen during the Dark Age by his ghost. At this time, it seemed that other warlords did exist too, early Guardians who controlled the territories of Earth. But the lore implies that Drifter was rezzed very early on, possibly even before the Iron Lords themselves. When he was first revived by his ghost, the first thing Drifter did was run. Run away as far as he could from the light, from the Traveler, from the thing that rezzed him in the ghost. Kinda fits considering Drifter's been running his whole life. He only decided to stay recently around the final shape for various reasons. But at this point when he was rezzed, he had no name, and in fact he rejected the idea of a name for a while, going by tons of different ones. Drifter died countless times for over a century. He used his light to perform some miracles for village people while keeping his powers and ghost hidden. He watched the Iron Lords and their early ideals and even opened his own bar near Fellwinter Peak. Some believe that this character from the Zavala's prologue cinematic could have been actually Drifter before they changed his appearance around. And although Drifter may not have been the first Guardian, he was definitely among them for sure.
The way I see it, the farther you run, the less likely you are to get stuck. But this universe tends to stop me in my tracks. One way or another.
When you think of the Dark Age after the collapse, one of the Guardians you'll think of too is Rezil Azir. Azir was known as a hero, and was one of the first Lightbearers to visit beneath the Traveler as people would build camps, outposts, and eventually the city. Azir would eventually become corrupted by the Hive and turn into Dredge and Yor, but he was there in those early days too. It said Rezil Azir was a man. In time, his kind would be called Titan, mountains of muscle and might and metal. His collar was fur and teeth, his person clad in ornate golden-edged plating, trophies upon his shoulders. This was before the city was the city. This is before the walls, still in the shadows of the fragile giant above, but before. Salvation seekers came, survivors, weary remnants of a people on the brink. These were the days before reason took hold, before study was merged with belief. Rezil Azir was there in those early days when the first people began to huddle beneath this alien sphere. But it seems other Risen may have existed out in ruined Earth at this time. There's a pretty cool tale on the Cloudstrike lore, where a guardian known as the Storm Herd saves a Dark Age village. As the story goes, kind of paraphrasing it, every year raiders would come in and steal the camp's food supply for the winter. One year they decided to arrive early, but were met by this mysterious Storm Herd guardian, a masked stranger who wielded a crook and could summon lightning. She battled, defended these people, but was eventually killed. Her ghost would soon revive her though, a myth part of the story these people told for years to come. And just after rising, she would summon a massive burst of arc energy to drive the rest of the raiders away. The weapon she used could have been an early version of Cloudstrike or the exotic itself, but what's actually cool is the crook or shepherd's hook is actually built into the weapon itself, something I never really noticed. This was another example of an early risen Lightbearer. The first documented guardian was seen by the first speaker, found in the entry Waking from the lore book Constellations. The city had many speakers. We met one in Destiny 1, but this wasn't the first speaker. There were others before him. Through the card, this speaker followed a ghost through the Deadlands of Earth, watching a ghost revive a human for the first time. The speaker was amazed at first, and then sort of jealous that the gifts weren't granted to them instead. They had some strange feelings. I am the first speaker to see a ghost. The way we tell it, after the collapse, the Traveler cut itself into 1,000 tiny pieces and sent them out into the world. These tiny pieces are drawn to me and to others like me, like moths. The first time I saw them, I thought they were surveillance drones, but up close they were nothing like our old technology, not really. The way they move seems organic and natural. They spin their shells like they are ruffling feathers. Their little forward-facing lights blink like eyes. "We're called ghosts," one of them said to me once, hovering at my shoulder as I tended a cook fire. "Why?" I asked, gentle, casual. They're all different, these ghosts. Many of them are like children, curious and friendly. Some are world-weary from the moment they're born. The ghost spun his silver petals, considering. Because we're searching, I think. It's a good enough answer for me. I'm searching too. I let the little ghost follow me. We talk about what the Traveler was like before the collapse. They like to hear it, and I like to remember. Deep in their core, they remember too, I think. They remember a time when they were all one piece. Still, they like to ask what the Traveler told me, and I recount all the dreams I can still remember. I haven't dreamed since the collapse, and this is almost like dreaming again. Today at twilight, one of the shy and quiet ghosts who has been lingering at my side asks if I will follow her out into the valley. I should say no, but she sounds hopeful, and I am curious. We travel for several hours. The land here is recovering, not just from the collapse, but from the time before it. Resources for our settlement are scarce, but nature is creeping back in, and nature is cruel now. It's been starving and confused for decades, jostled out of its natural order, and now we reap the consequences. Wolves steal our livestock. Mange-ridden bears wander through our compound late at night, pawing at our doors. The land is so thick with the memory of poison that it won't grow crops. We protect ourselves from this recovering world as best we can, and we rarely go out at night. But I'm drawn by a curiosity that feels beyond me. The ghost leads me to a barn with a sagging roof. She asks me to wait out of sight, She says, "I think you'll scare her." I don't fully understand what she means. I crouch and watch as she hovers over the years-old remains of a person, barely recognizable as something that was once living. The ghost floats over the body nervously and then scans it with pale light. In front of my eyes, flesh grows over old bones, and tattered rags stitch themselves together. The person, a woman, gasps and sits up. I can't believe it. The ghost hovers close to her new companion and says something quiet and reassuring. I can't hear. I feel amazed, and then jealous, and then ashamed. So that card is pretty crazy. It says this is the first speaker to ever see a ghost. Maybe other humans did before, but it sort of implied that this guardian raised by this ghost was very early on, could have even been the first one. I saw an interesting post the other day by Jeff on the Destiny lore Reddit. They posed this question: is Lodi, the new character from the Edge of Fate expansion this summer, the first guardian? In some of the cinematic shots, we see him wearing what looks to be guardian-ish armor. And we know that something strange is happening to him timeline-wise. In the trailer, we see different versions of him sort of splitting off, one of them rising from the ground during the collapse. So that was Jeff's theory here. Maybe somehow Lodi became the first guardian from one of these moments. That would be very interesting, and if Lodi is a guardian, I'm not sure how they became one and when. The only thing, of course, we don't know is what happened directly after this city shot here. Was he transported through time? Was he actually revived by the Traveler? And how did it all involve the Nine? Maybe he was their first experiment, like they wanted to experiment with Guardians in the Light later on, and even emissaries like Azir and Orin. We have no clue at this point, it's just speculation. But there are many connections to Chicago too, which might be the city we see in this shot. So the true answer of who was the first Guardian. It may be some Dark Age warlord that nobody knows the name of. It may be a character we already know in the lore, like Drifter, but just don't have confirmation on. Or maybe it is someone we'll meet in the future someday, like Lodi. But be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see some more Destiny news, lore, and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.